Alright guys, I've got a little bit closer to the goal of having maybe something that I can offer. But anyway, this is basically the assembled cage to the x6100, which is right here. This is printed with Overture, which is a brand that I've got a bunch of stuff for free from a friend, and it prints very dull, and it doesn't like to print fast. It's old. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it's great for prototyping, and it's PETG. So that's what's on the radio right now currently, is this stuff. And I had an error on something, and I found out that my printer, the Z rollers are getting a little bit loose, so I tightened them up with the eccentrics. One is kind of still over here. So this is that filament, and this is typically what it does to me. Let me get the enclosure open. I can print this without an enclosure, by the way, but I get like a lot of this crap. And it's this stuff here. I've used both their older stuff on a plastic roll, and the paper should be newer. I'm actually almost out of this stuff. You can kind of tell it has a funny texture to it, and hopefully I don't run out. We're at 41%, so I don't care for the stuff. It just kind of like, it's difficult to print with if you go in and babysit the print, you know. It likes to be printed really hot, and in some cases you really need a higher bed temperature. In fact, it says right on the roll that you should print it with an 80 degrees Celsius bed temperature. I'm using 70 and I'm at 255, but anyway. So this is the final one that's mirrored, and hopefully it doesn't do anything funny. I had like a layer shift on the other one, and so I just need to print like basically one or two more of these to match the rest of the stuff, and then I got to see if the lines and all that line up. So this is the original design, and the spacing is perfect on this. So basically what I'm looking for is mine need to match this. And the only difference that we're doing here is we're adding this little piece here to where it's missing here. The radio would normally sit like that. So we want the radio to be protected on the bottom. In fact, I want this to go all the way across, and I will do that. That's going to happen. Once I get this perfected, I will add a piece across the bottom. And so the way that works is the legs do flip out, and you'll need to this goes on the end of the radio, and it fits around the other plastic, and it sandwiches up against. And the reason that this is cool is because it gives you protection top and bottom of the radio a little bit. Another thing I've noticed from handling the radio is like the serial number and all that crap want to wear off of the radio. So yeah, this stuff, it just depending on how it prints, it's just really kind of a pain. I've slowed it down. This one here, you can see I slowed it down so it's a little glossier than the other. I slowed it down to 80%. I've got it printing at 200 millimeters a second. Okay, well, let's close this up. So you get a different color out of it based on the speed. It'll still come out okay. When we print our viewed side face down so that we don't end up with this kind of design on it. I don't want to look at print marks like this, but I'm not going to sand them. So these two here should be both correct. And what we'll do, we've checked them against these just to see if they're pretty close, and They look pretty close. Might be off a little bit over here. So if you're going to do these, I'll upload this file later on today, but you can work with what I've already put on there. You need to drill these out anyways, depending on what you're going to use. The original design used these, and I need to change this at some point. He actually made a design flaw where there's a hole right here. It goes all the way through. It actually goes all the way through on both ends. Let's see if you can see it. So, they wanted to use threaded inserts, and I guess really small screws. So, you can still do that if you want, but I'm not interested in using threaded inserts because it costs extra money, and they're just not really important. If you're not going to take the thing apart multiple times, I don't see the value in it. If it doesn't need to be serviced multiple times. So when this gets done, this is our mirror to this, and we'll see if it looks okay. I'm seeing something really strange here, and I think I might have printed this thing wrong. Or there's a layer shift. So yeah, something happened here. So this one's no good. Alright, so I just pulled the print. So what this indicates is I must have a Z offset issue, or something else, temperature issues. So we gotta restart it. So we're gonna have to go through the leveling procedure on this. I guess maybe it's just off a little bit, so we'll just let it do its thing all over again, and then I'll adjust the Z offset. This is pretty easy of a printer to use. Every once in a while you need to put a little bit of their lube on these rails. I'm honestly not a fan of the rails. I don't find that it prints any better than, say, like this one here. In fact, this printer's quite a bit faster, but lots of problems. So anyway, you'd be perfectly fine with the Neptune 4. You don't need the Pro. Now there is the Pro Max, and that actually does have Wi-Fi. This one does not. So although we have Clipper, we're using basically a Marlin looking interface. So it's done this thing here, and I think maybe we could set our Z offset at this point. Alright, so I set it super tight. I just wait for it to confirm. There's probably some debris on the end of the nozzle. They don't really tell you about that, but like basically, really, if you're having trouble setting the Z, you need to pull the filament out of the damn thing and heat everything up, get any kind of drippings out of the end of the tip. You know, you want it to be at the temperature that you're going to operate at. So sometimes it's kind of stupid how this thing works. So we'll try it again. Hopefully we don't dig into the print bed. I know I definitely got it low. Thing is, I don't like to fiddle around with this a lot, so I want it to work. I don't want to do 10 different attempts to get my height set. So I don't know what temperature we're sitting at. We're going to be sitting here for a while. So I can look and see at the bottom of it, there is some crap on it, so we might not even be where we need to be. We'll know when it starts to print and it fails again, right? Okay, so while we're waiting for that to do that, here is the cage, and these are not the ideal screws to use for this, but what I found is they do work really well. So if you could find something similar to drywall screws, you could very easily mount them in here. The problem is, if you see here, they're pushing it a little too close for as far as the size of the head and where the hole is. One solution to that problem could be maybe all this could be made thicker, but then again, we're getting into, you know, hours of crap just to make something thicker. I definitely think that this part here could be thicker. So if I was to redo it, I would like to make that thicker, more on par with the thickness of that, so it has a symmetrical look, and then put a piece down near the bottom and make this thicker, and make these thicker also. I would probably fill this cutout. I don't see a reason for it. This part here is where your buttons are, so I don't understand what that's there for. Maybe they think it will allow venting. I don't know. But we've got something now usable that we want, and the radio will now, you know, be able to sit without you know, touching the bottom of the plastic. These little feet are cool, but kind of iffy. So see how it sits now? You're sitting on the plastic, not the plastic of the radio. I think that's pretty important. The little metal handles that come with this, I don't know what to do with the box. They're just super cheesy. I've already showed you guys that they're not worth the money. They don't protect the radio. The only thing the handles are going to protect possibly are your knobs here. And that's it. And this is going to do a better job of protecting them. And also, if you drop the radio with the metal knobs, you're most likely going to crack or break something on the end of the radio. With these, if you drop the radio and it falls on the rails, it's PETG, you might crack the PETG, just print some new ones, you know. But with the other ones, there's no protection, nothing. So I wouldn't want to drop this radio though. I don't think it would survive very well.